Alright, filming this one with a camera I haven't used for about 15 years. My phone has just decided it just doesn't do videos nicely anymore. Today we're going to rant about the Tascam Model 24 versus the Zoom LiveTrak L-20. This is my third one of these. I've owned two of these. I keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it costs me money every time, except in the case where one time I bought the Zoom from Amazon. I was able to try it for I think 2 or 3 days. I packaged it up perfectly and sent it back to them. It's the only time I did that. All the other times I burned on it a little bit and sold them on Reverb, which used to be a fine thing to do, but now the fees are too high because they got greedy, so now you just burn considerably to do these kind of swaps. But I'm looking to do this swap again. So how did I get here and what's my problem? Besides being insanely OCD apparently. Well, I'm a Reaper guy. I've been a Reaper guy before it was cool. I was an early Reaper guy. Preaching its praises and trying to convert people, and now everybody I know is on Reaper. And I get to boast that I knew about it before anyone. But anyway, no one cares about that. With the Reaper, you need a 19-inch, you need an interface, you need 8 ins if you're going to do any kind of band work, any kind of drum work. 8 ins isn't really enough. You should have 16, right? So, these companies, behringer, Tascam, maybe Fostex, maybe Joe Meek, not Joe Meek. That's a bad example, sorry. Tascam, Fostex, behringer, M-Audio, Mo2. They come along and they say, we only know how to put 8 ins in a USB. It's all we know how to do. It's the year 2023. It's all we know how to do. We can't figure it out. Universal Audio says for $3,000, whatever this was, Canadian, we can only do 4 over Thunderbolt. We just can't figure it out. It's the year 2023. We just can't figure it out. So, you know, the next one comes along this year in 2023, be it, who's that other company? Focusrite. They'll do 8 over USB. They'll be like, that's all. We can't figure it out. We can't do more than 8 over USB. So then Tascam comes along and goes, boom, want to bet? And the Zoom goes, oh yeah, you want to bet? Boom, 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 boom. And they jam them in there. Zoom, there's 20 of them right there over USB. And there's the Tascam Model 24. 22, technically 24 over USB. So why can these guys just snap their fingers and do it? Just boom, boom, tons of channels for you. Whereas, you know, Mo2 will come out with something this year, or Apogee, or Universal Audio, or behringer, or whoever. They're Focusrite, real guilty of this. They're going to come out with the next one this year and go, we can only put 8. We can't figure anything else out. 8 is all it does. Well, guess what, fools? You can do way more than 8, and you need to start trying. You can do way more than 8, and you need to start trying a little harder. So I got into these. Because I had delusions of grandeur that I was going to record big bands down here. Now, it didn't happen because I didn't want big bands of people in my house. So I haven't had a band down here in a long time. Well, I've had them down here this year, but not a big band, not a big, loud, you know, metal band down here. But when you do that, and you go vocal 1, vocal 2, vocal 3, guitar 1, guitar 2, guitar 3, bass in, bass out, kick in, kick out, snare in, snare out, overhead left, overhead right, piano left, piano right. You need all that if you're going to do even a decent church band, you know, a church band, or your 4-piece, or God forbid your 5-piece, 6-piece, you know, throw a violin on there, or some extra percussion. You need all these tracks, right? That's why it drives me nuts when all I can figure out is 4. No, you're greedy, is the thing. Focusrite with your clarinets or whatever the hell they're called, or their sapphires or whatever they're called. I can't even remember. I had one this year. 8, give me a break. You want to do it right, you need 16 plus, or you need 24, or you need 20 plus. So that's how I got into these guys. So this is my third one of these, and I've had, sorry, 2 of these. So I did this, switch to this, switch to this, switch to this, switch back to this. And now I want to switch back to this. So what's my problem? Well, I got bullet points that we'll go through. And you can decide too. You can chime in and tell me if there's another option, but I don't think so. I think I've exhausted the options. But I'll tell you why I want to get out of this and back into this. Number one reason is the split track nonsense. Right? 10, 11, 12, and then it gets insane. Like, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. This machine is 22 pounds. It's way bigger. It's way wider than this, and they're able to do it properly. Zoom does it properly. 16 channels lead to 16 faders. Yes, the faders are smaller, but they're mostly smaller vertically. They're smaller this way, not as much this way. A little bit this way, but you could make these a little bit close together. Get rid of these stupid buttons. These don't help me. Not at all. I use them, but I don't need them. Zoom does it properly. These guys, it's this. How many tracks are you? Oh, 24? Oh, really? You're a 24 track? Well, this should be a given. Everybody needs a main. So don't even count them, you idiots. Right? So now we're down to 22. Well, I can't really use this. This is for like Bluetooth and, you know, nonsense. Silliness, right? So now we're down to 20. Well, these are all stereo tracks. In the heat of battle, they're not so fun to use. So really, we're like straight 12. I'd rather straight 16 with 2 stereo tracks. And these guys don't even do the nonsense when they count the master. They're just like, look, we're giving you 20 tracks. We're not going to lie about the last 2. We don't need to lie about the last 2 like these idiots do. Oh, there's 2 in here. Yeah, I need them for my ear holes. I can't hear it without these 2. Like, you're gonna count those? That's nonsense. Zoom doesn't even count them. They're there, but they don't count them. They could have called it the LiveTrak 22. Foolishness. Anyway, when you're in the heat of battle and you're going vocal 1, vocal 2, vocal 3, guitar 1, guitar 2, guitar 3, and you get into here and you're like, overhead left, overhead right. No, that's a stereo track. Okay, so overhead left, overhead right. But I need my bass. No, my bass is down here. And then I'm going to mic my bass, but then I got a piano. So I got piano left and piano right, so that works out. But then I got this other, it's like, no. Give me 16 ins to 16 faders in the heat of battle when I'm throwing cable, when I'm throwing XLR cables across a stage. 16 mics, maybe 16 preamps, compressors, reverbs, delays. I got enough to worry about than this mind you know what. It's a mess. It's the number one reason I want out of this machine. Number 2, it's heavy. For a portable multi-tracker, it's 22 pounds. Sure, I can lift 22 pounds. I'm not 80 years old, but it's not fun and it's not really that portable. I mean, sure, you just pop the plug and go. This guy's like, what did I say it was? 8 pounds? Like, it's plastic. Like, you could hold that in one hand. Ooh, I just lost the screensaver. You could hold this in one hand and bicycle to your friend's house. What is this thing? 8 pounds. 8 pounds, and it's slim enough. You can fit this thing in a 19-inch rack. Not behemoth over here. This thing's a big fatty, and I just don't think it needs to be. Now, I'll contradict myself a little bit here on some of these points. So let's fly through these, because we're already 10 minutes into this rant. So, the track layout is better on the Zoom. It just is. When you're busy, I don't know if you ever had a room full of musicians, but they're distracting, and they're taking your straps off your guitars, and they're losing your guitar picks, and they're stealing stuff from you, and they're eating bags of chips, and they're the drummer and the guitar player are having a competition to be who can be the loudest while you're trying to get the sound level for the bass player. Like, there's enough going on that you don't need to be playing this mind screw game of 13, 14, 15, 16. Give me my 16 tracks straight up, and I will deal with them. That's the better way to go. So Zoom wins there. The Zoom is smaller and lighter. It just is. It's made of plastic. This one's made of like definitely metal and wood. I don't care. I want a grab and go 8-pound machine, not a 22-pound machine. It's preference, I guess. Point for the Tascam. The Tascam feels more expensive. So to contradict myself, this one looks nicer. This one looks more like furniture. This one looks like 1975 called and they left their Las Vegas ashtray with the cigarettes still burning out the side, and the, you know, we need like a red velvet armrest here. Like it, this one looks vintage. It looks cool. This one looks, Zoom looks 2010 gaudy. Looks like 2010. Yeah, it looks crappy. It actually borders on like some of Roland's gear of the 80s, but I don't know. It just, so Tascam wins the in looks. Don't care. Low cut, high pass seems mostly a non-issue. Both have it. That's, so yeah, the Tascam has the high pass, the low cut, so long as you remember to do it, right? It's there so long as you remember to do it. Hope you can see that. It's on every single channel, but you got to remember to do it on the way in. Whereas the Zoom is a digital board. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this or not. Yeah, so you can do it anytime. You can do it after the fact because it is a digital board. And you can low cut all the way up to 600 hertz, which is nice. I'm a low cut guy. I'll explain that in a minute. This only low cuts to 100. I low cut like almost everything. Maybe not my kick, but everything else. And I low cut way up high. It's my number one trick to make a mix come together and make the low end sit. I don't know a lot of tricks, but I know that trick, which is why this machine would gel with me. This one, not so much. How am I going to do my low cuts? I'd have to bring them back into the computer and use a plug-in. I'd have to. I don't really, I guess I got some Neve stuff that can do it, but am I really going to analog to digitally convert, low cut at 100 hertz, and then digital to analog convert to run through my Neve clones there, my worms, the EQ, analog, send them back and do another A to D here across 24 tracks? Like, that's a lot of conversion. I don't trust the converters that much on this thing. Whereas this guy, you record it analog, it comes in digitally, now you're in the digital world, and now you can low cut them all, right? And I mean, what a time we live in. Like, that low cut there, that could be a $2,000 EQ. Could be, right? That could be one module up here that does that low cut for you for $2,000. And here you have it, and you get to use it and use it and use it and use it and use it, right? Even a nice EQ plugin costs, $50. What a time! What value we do get out of some of this stuff. But anyway, so I actually think the low cut high pass is a point for Zoom, for me, the way I work. All right, Zoom has polarity flip seemingly even after the fact. Well, yeah, being digital, it can flip that wave upside down on all of them. This guy can't do it at all. I don't even know what the circuit would look like or how it could do that. But if you're going to snare top and bottom, and why wouldn't you? How are you going to do your polarity flip? You're going to kick in and out, you might want a polarity flip. How are you going to do it, right? You can come over here. If you got a nice preamp, you can polarity flip. But it's not, like, it's mandatory. Like, you'd have to. You'd have to. This doesn't have it. So that's a point for the Zoom. I come across that recently. I did a snare top and bottom. Had to polarity flip. Had to use a preamp to do it. Maybe not a big deal for you. It was a big deal for me. Zoom loses a point. The Zoom fader latch and catch thing is absolutely stupid. So here's a point for the Tascam. I set this fader here. Where is it? It's here. I set this fader here. Where is it? It's here. Here. Nice and simple. You set the faders. What you see is what you get. They are what they are. Love that. Boom. Something to be said about analog. It is what it is. This has got this latch and catch nonsense where the faders can be in a different position to where they actually are. So if you see that first channel there, the green light is 75% there, or whatever that is, but the fader's actually down. You'd have to slide this up to catch that green before you were actually in control. This is just latch and catch nonsense. I get why it's like that. I hate it, and it's probably why I sent this board back the last time. And if I don't buy this board again, it'll be because of that. I get why they have to do it, because of all this scene nonsense and the different fader. But I think it could be implemented differently. How? I don't know. I'd have to sit and think about it. But it's annoying. I can tell you that. Whereas this is just boop, boop. It is what it is. Whereas this is like latch and catch. It was... I'm not even explaining it right, but it's not... It was stupid. Alright, Zoom is an instant headphone amp. Too bad I bought one. Yep. So, the Zoom's big thing is it wants you to collaborate with 6 people. Look at that. That's fairly beautiful. The Tascam gives you one measly little phones out, which is kind of an undersight. Like they should have thought of that. Now I bought this thing, which is the ART head amp. I wouldn't have needed to buy that. It's got 6 channels of headphone. Wouldn't needed to buy that because the Zoom just has it. So there's $200 worth of value. You can take $200 off the price of your Zoom just because you don't have to buy that if you need to collaborate. And yeah, I'll get people down here, and next thing you know, they've got friends coming over, and next thing you know, and I'm not just talking about friends hanging out, I'm talking other musicians start to show up. Next thing you know, you get 6 people wearing cans, and the 7th comes and you're feeling bad, right? So it happens. Like you might think, oh, I'd never have 5 people. You don't know. Well, you got the bass player sitting down, or you got all these people sitting around. Everybody wants to hear what's going on. Everyone has input, and it makes it fun. So this isn't frivolous. This is a nice $200 bonus. So the Zoom wins there again. All right. The Zoom has 2 effects engines if you care to use these effects. Now, I'm in the Universal Audio environment. I signed on to that a long time ago, and I'm a slave to that and can never leave now. So I'll probably use my effects from the UA world. I don't know. The Tascam had some nice effects. They were okay. If I had nothing else, if I was back in the 80s and I was like, I can't afford a Radio Shack reverb, then I would be grateful for this. But, every DAW comes with an amazing stock suite, and I've got this, in which I'm incredibly spoiled, and I've got my effects pedals, and I've got rack gear. Like, I got 6 ways from Sunday. But if you are into effects, the Zoom has 2 engines, and you can use them both. So you don't have to choose between reverb and delay. You can have both a reverb and a delay. And going back to this, each person could have a different mix, and the drummer wants to hear reverb or doesn't want to hear reverb, and the bass player wants to hear his dry. Well, you can do all that. You can send these 2 engines to whatever mix you want. It's actually, yeah. I complain sometimes about this area down here, the fader mode and the scene area, but I mean, Zoom knew what they were doing. They obviously come from decades of being musicians themselves and knowing what people want. Okay, external hardware. They seem to be neutral because they can both kind of do it. So yeah, the Tascam has the subgroup, which you can send external hardware to. It also has 3 auxiliaries. You could think of them as A, B, and C, or you could think of A and B as left and right on a stereo pair, and C is this, or 3 is just another one. Because you can bypass this guy, number 3 here, this effects engine, and you can come out this hole here and be aux 3. So aux 1, 2, and 3. So how many outs do we get here? Let's count them in mono. Sub out left and right is 1, 2. Aux 1, 2, and 3. So you get 5. If you're really ghetto, you could come out the phones. So 6, 7. So 7 ways out. Well, and then you got your control room. So 8, 9. And then these. So there are 9 ways out of this machine. and then you return them back, which is where these stereo pairs are nice, unless you're returning back a mono, and then you got to eat up one of your monos. So sure, the Tascam does it. Now, I experimented with the Zoom doing it, and I got it to work. It was a little janky. Basically, these 6, I can't speak to the L-12, but on the L-20, these 6 here, these are not just headphone jacks. You can hit this button here and turn it from headphone to TRS mono, right? So here it's 2 come out of here, like a headphone signal, amplified with this gain thing here. Or you can go drop her down to mono, but give me a, what do you call it, a TRS signal. And then, well, what is A listening to? Well, you can get the master, or you hit it and it's getting the master mix of A, which you would set here, but that's a whole other discussion. So what does that give you? That gives you, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 out just there, and then your master has got a headphone, so there's 12, 13, 14. So there's 14 out, right? Well, let's drop them into mono. So you get 6, and then this phone's a 7, 8. So lots of ways out of this machine, and then you return it to one of your channels. And again, they're all 1 for 1, easy to think about. 14 to 14, 15 to 15, 16 to 16. As opposed to this nonsense. This jungle down here that I cannot stand. So, to me, the Zoom wins on this. I look forward to playing with this again. I got a real nice compressor and a real nice limiting amplifier that I'm dying to play with. So I could pump them out these, return them probably to the stereo tracks, return them to wherever I choose, but I'll probably return them to the stereo tracks. Alright, portability. Even just in the basement to get close to E-drums and synths. So what that means for me is, if I want to get close to my E-drums or my synths, I gotta pick this up. So 22 pounds isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's kind of heavy. It's daunting, and you think about it. You're like, do I want to lug that thing? Like, it's just like this lazy, like, I don't want to lug that thing. Whereas this, you're lugging it anyway. It's feather light. 8 pounds. Not a big deal. My SM58 mic is almost 8 pounds. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not a thing, right? Like, I don't know what this is, but you get the idea. 8 pounds is not a thing. You could pick it up with one hand. And smaller, too. Smaller footprint. Look at this. Look at this behemoth. Hanging off the desk. Tuck your shirt in, you fat slob. Look at it. So that's another point for the Zoom. Knob feel. Well, Tascam wins in the knob feel. These are nice. I've not had one crackle on me yet, which is good. The Tascam is built like a tank. I mean, I wouldn't throw it off the roof of my house, but it's built nice and solid. It's metal. The buttons, they feel really good. The 100-meter faders feel really good. 100-millimeter, I should say. The knobs feel really good. Listen to that. Listen to this. Like, it's a solid build. And this is, like, my videos, I like you to be able to see up and close. Like, I can't find a video like this at the Zoom on all of YouTube where somebody's actually doing this. I want to hear that button being pressed. I want this level of detail before I buy something. But I can tell you on the Tascam, the quality is there. It's really nice. It beats the Zoom because the Zoom, it's more digital and it's more of these forever spinning knobs, you know, like round and round we go. And they feel It feels like those knobs in a windstorm, the wind would turn them. Do you know what I mean? Like this is like actual, I gotta move that with my finger. Whereas the Zoom, I feel like a windstorm would go just because the quality is not the same. It just isn't. Look at these. It's kind of like, what do you expect? It's $300, $400, $500 cheaper in Canada anyway, this thing. I think the Model 24 is $1,700 and this one's $1,200. So it's $500 difference. So it's like, what do you expect? You know, like they had to compromise somewhere. That's why you get the 60mm faders, the little dainty faders. These buttons feel nice though on the Zoom. I can tell you all these buttons. There's no problem there. It's just these weird. These guys. I just hope I'm not gonna make recordings and feel like everything feels chintzy, you know, because you're not gonna feel that over here. You're gonna go, oh yeah, get some compressor going, get my gain going. Like it just feels good in the hand quality on the Tascam, and it does not on the Zoom. The Zoom feels like a cheap machine, and I'll show you that when I order one again. All right. The Zoom has 2 RCA channels, and I use a CD and record player. Okay, so that's just a personal preference. The last 2 channels, which are like I consider utility channels, 17, 18, 19, 20 on the Zoom, they both have RCAs. I like that. I know other people will too. I know other people have other RCA gear that I'm not even considering, like maybe K oscillators and stuff. But I use I got a CD player and a record player, so I love the RCA. You can see it here if I, right? So 2 of them on 2 channels? Oh yeah, no, that's good for me, right? Probably for you too. There's other people out there I see on YouTube, they've got RCA gear, so I like that. The Bluetooth, I hate it, I don't use it. I hate Bluetooth. I'm a computer guy. I can program Bluetooth. I am well familiar with the limitations and failure that is Bluetooth. I do not want music. I do not in my life want to listen to music that is going through Bluetooth. Not through a portable speaker, not through headphones, not through nothing. I don't want to hear music going through Bluetooth in my life. So Bluetooth's a fail for me, and I wish it wasn't here. I wish they would have ditched that option and maybe put a Polarity flip or some other feature on here, or God forbid, get rid of that and straighten my channels out for me, would you? All right, let's see. The Tascam is analog and the Zoom is digital. All right, does that matter? I've made the same song recordings on both the Tascam and the Zoom, and the Tascam to my ear sounds warmer but a little more muffly, and the Zoom sounds brighter and a little harsher and a little more digital, as one would expect. But I mean, I grew up, 90s, 2000, 2010. So I grew up with digital ears, unfortunately. Now I listen to a lot of vinyl, but I also listen to a lot of CDs. So does digital just sound better to me naturally? I don't know. The Tascam definitely sounds, I'm not going to say punchier, but I'm going to say warmer, but maybe in a bad way. Maybe warmer in a muffly way, in a softer paper towel over your ear kind of a way. Whereas the Zoom did sound brighter, a little hotter, maybe a little spikier. But maybe it's my age and what I grew up with. But if I recorded the same song using both, which I did, and tried to make them the same, tried to use the same, I did use the same mics, I used the same instruments, real simple song. That's how they sounded. The Zoom sounded, as you would expect, more digital, brighter, a tad more prickly, not harsh, but a little spikier. The Tascam did sound, not to be, it sounded warmer, it sounded more analog, not necessarily in a good way. Alright, pads on the channel. Does Tascam even have this at all? Well, I don't think so. And it's an issue. Are there pads? That's the question. I don't think so. You could pad down with the gain. No, I'm going to say no. I thought it had it. It's got low cut, but I don't see pads. So if you want to pad down, you're going to have to use a preamp that pads down. You're going to have to get yourself a external pre to pad down. Whereas I believe the Zoom pads down like no tomorrow. So let's go check. What's my pad down options here? Yep, look at that. Pad. Pad all day long, right? That's kind of important. Another trick we might have missed over here with the Tascam. I've got into mics and preamps and overhead drums and things where I had to pad. Now, I mean, again, I have this luxury of these preamps. Not everybody does. If you're a kid at home, what are you going to do? You're going to have to pad. This doesn't do it. All right. Overdub button is stupid. It sure is. So, this, by default, favors the live person. When you hit record, it starts a new song. And then you hit record, stop and record, new song. Stop and record, new song. So it favors the live setup, which is why it's called LiveTrak. I'm not a live setup guy so much as I am a at-home multi-tracker, right? So I'm the afterthought. So I have to hit this idiotic button every time. Hopefully I'm explaining this right. I know what I'm talking about. But, so you do a new song, and you hit overdub. The first time you hit record, you do your first pass, then you hit overdub. Now hopefully that overdub button is supposed to stay on until you load a new project. Is how it's supposed to work. So as a multi-track guy at home, as a studio guy at home, I'm the afterthought. I'm the one that has to press 9 for English, if you know what I mean. Like, stupid. I hate the overdub button. How they should do it is they should take overdub button away. Don't need it. And in the menu, they should ask you how the behavior should work. Should the record button do a new project every time? Or should it work as any sane person would think that it would work, like any multi-track unit for the last 20 years? So yeah, the overdub button, very poor implementation, crappy function, shouldn't be like that. Alright, the Zoom LED metering, possibly better, maybe. The reason I say that is because when I had it, I couldn't get this metering to work on the input, but I've since watched a YouTube video. Unfortunately, I can't reference whose. If I find the person who explained it, I'll tell you his channel. But he showed that you have to actually mute, which is another stupid thing. But anyway, when you're coming down here, you got your SM57 into channel 1, you set your gain as 1 would. You have to mute this, and then you'll get a level on there. So that's great from across the room. If I'm across the room from, here, I can see those lights. I can see them level lights. No problem. I'll be able to see that. Whereas this, all you get is the little blippy clip light. Tiny little light. I can actually show you it where it is because I have it. I think I have a mic plugged in right now. See right here. Who's plugged in? Oh, here we go. We got this guy going. Got an SM58 in there now. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. 1, 2. So that's all you get. Very hard to see from across the room. Now there are these idiotic meters here that are totally terrible. So you can see if I even see it on there. Hello, 1, 2. Is there anybody in there? Just not if you can. Yeah. So 1, 2. 1, 2. So I'm standing 3 feet from it. I can barely see that. Right? Not helpful. Whereas these, now that I know how to use them right, now that I don't own the machine and someone's taught me how to use them, those are going to be handy from across the room. I swear, those, I'll be able to see them from across the room. I guarantee I will be able to, even with my glasses. So the Zoom wins another point. Zoom has no inserts. Tascam has some. Well, that's a fact. I'm not an insert guy. I know some of you guys are. Tascam has 2 inserts. So, just like your Hi-Z, this these 2 channels become special because you get your 2 Hi-Zs on the first 2 channels too. So, very special collection of channels here on the Tascam. Use them sparingly unless you're going to dump bounce them, which you can do that. You could use your insert effects on something, record the channels 1 and 2, and then dump them away. You could do a couple of Hi-Z tracks, record them, dump them away. Could do that, but so Tascam has 2 inserts. Who cares? Not me. I seem to be the only guy that doesn't care about inserts. So I know a lot of you guys and girls do. Zoom has none. I don't care. Tascam has the full throw 100 millimeter faders. That is nice, right? But not so necessary. I mean, when I'm working in Reaper, what faders do I have? None. Just keyboard, mouse. I mean, I've had all the dock controllers. I've had all the motorized faders, this, that, Mackie, Hui, and all that stuff. Don't super care. So, yeah, Zoom's got the inferior faders. It's got the 60 millimeter, these little guys. Tascam's got the nicer faders for sure. Don't super care. Tascam, already own it. Yeah, well, so I already own this. I'll have to sell this on Reverb, Kijiji, or a music store. Probably, well, not probably, for sure lose some money. And then buy a Zoom back. So yeah, that's another point for Tascam. Zoom is only 4 out on the USB. Now this is a brainless one where Zoom has really hurt them. It's like, why did you do 22 in and 4 out? What is wrong with you? The Tascam did, what is it even? It's like all of them out. I'm just going to search for the Tascam 24 here real quick. Tascam 24. The Tascam wins here in terms of bringing the channels back out of Reaper or your DAW. Yeah. 24 in, 22 out. Zoom. 22 in, 4. What is your excuse? You have no excuse. No excuse at all. The Tascam is bringing 22 in and 22 out. You should be bringing 22 in and 22 out. It's nonsense. And I think it just comes down to, here you have to engage the outs with these 2 buttons, whereas here they've given you this live multi-track PC slider switch thing. It just, I don't get why they've done that. I guess it's a cost savings thing. So it's nice with the Tascam because in Reaper you can output all of your tracks. Let me just load up my Reaper here really quick. Where is it? You can output all your tracks with the routing matrix. Sorry, mind my phone. All right, let's wind these down here. What else we got? The Zoom has a metronome. Yep, the Zoom is a metronome. So you can take another $50 or $100 right off the bill. This has no such facility. There's no drum machine, no metronome, no anything. Whereas the LiveTrak has. Sorry about my phone. The LiveTrak has a full metronome. 2 additional tracks. That's a plus for the Tascam. The Tascam has 2 additional tracks if you count them that way. But again, they're those useless utility tracks. The Tascam has, or the Zoom has a slate mic. I love this because I always run a slate mic. That's why that SM58 was hanging out here. The Zoom has it built right in. So that's convenient as heck to be able to just go song number 5, take number 2, or you can, you know, you're doing take number 5 and you can slate really quick and say, oh, don't forget to flip the polarity on the kick drum or whatever, right? So The slate mic is a pretty nice feature to have. But anyway, somebody's blowing up my phone here like a maniac. I better go check what that's about. But this has been my long-winded, almost 40-minute rant about Tascam Model 24. Why would I switch from this back to this a third time? What am I thinking? Are my bullet points good? Are they bad? Am I not considering something? Is this really a better machine than this? I have more thoughts on it than what I've said, but I've rambled enough already. Maybe we'll go into it in another video. But anyway, Tascam Model 24 versus the LiveTrak L-20. My phone won't stop. Sorry about that. But hopefully this has given you something to think about. And comment below. Give me something to think about. Thanks for watching.